Hey, I got a little thing that says watch.
All right, folks, we're bearing through some difficulty, so give us 30 seconds to make sure everything's working. Hey, I'm on.
Are we on?
It's working. We are on. I got to do two things, and we will be ready to rock. All right, what's up, folks? Hobo Nichol BBQ here with you. And Christy's cooking is already saying Big Lew is a diva.
A diva? I'm not pretty enough to be a diva.
I think she thinks it's your fault that we got hung up. This is my fault.
Okay. Chris, thank you, man. Here's a root beer in a jelly jar.
I've got not a root beer in a jelly jar.
Good for you. Good, real good for you.
So right now we got Texas-style cuisine, Barlow barbecue, Christy's cooking.
Texas-style cuisine. Oh,
yes,
cool. Sir. I like Johnny. I was going to actually mention him during the show, but I'm glad he's watching. So,
Smoky Goodness, Phil and Florence, Meathead, the Baking Diva, and so far it looks like it's about it.
Smoky Goodness, he's up in Nebraska. I've got cousins from there, Dan, from Lincoln.
All right, so let's get started here. So as most of you know, I tried doing this with Lew last Saturday, recorded the whole thing, probably the greatest one that will ever happen, and the sound did not record. Big Reggie, what's up?
I got a rehearsal.
Yeah, he got the practice, but now he thinks I changed all the questions. I probably did. So, last Saturday we started this. You had 602 subs and 44,000 and some change views, and you've jumped 35 subs and 2,500 views in 5 days. Well done, sir.
I don't know. I did the little 600 subscriber giveaway that jumped me about 10, 15. And T-Roy mentioned my channel this morning, and I think I went up about another 10 or 15. So puts it at about 630.
Well, you're doing a great job. All right. Where are you from, and what's your family life, kids, wife, dog, etc.?
I live in West Louisiana, an hour north of Lake Charles, Louisiana, and about 2 hours south of Shreveport, Louisiana. Shreveport's up in the corner. That's Yankee country up there. And I, even though I grew up on the east side, are you there? Yeah, you're there. All right. And I got a wife, a wonderful wife of 18 years. I've got 2 kids and a daughter that's just about to turn 15 next week, and a son who's about to turn 11 next week. In fact, my son's on the 6th of October, and my daughter's birthday is on the 7th of October. If you get your kids' birthdays back to back, you don't have to have but one birthday party a year. You don't have to have 2, you know. So, I've got 3 dogs and 2 cats that kind of hang around in the house. There's some old cat we feed, and some tomcat comes around every few months when he can't find food somewhere else. So that's what we have.
All right. How long you had your channel, and what's it about?
I started the channel Thanksgiving Day of 2016, and it's about me cooking and having fun and being silly, and I kind of got talked into it by my sister-in-law. And I like to cook, and I like to teach, and I like to have a little fun while I do it. So that's how it got started. You want me to go ahead and tell you how I got started, or you got that next question ready? Because I've been through this rehearsal before, so I know what's coming up.
Big Lew BBQ, what made you decide to make a channel?
I knew you were going to say that, man. I knew you were going to say that. Last year, in the Friday before Thanksgiving, I went to a country music concert for Johnny Lee. It was a charity concert, and they had one of those online auctions. And not an online auction. I'm sorry. What do you call it? Silent auction, where you write down the thing. And they had a Weber grill there. And I didn't have a Weber grill at the time. It'd been a while since I'd had one. So I put down $35 and somebody came by and wrote down $45. And I said, you're not supposed to jump me 10, only 5. But since I was working in the concession stand, because that's how I roll, I go pay to go to concerts and then wind up working in a concession stand to volunteer, at a charity concert, right? So I found out when the auction was about to end, so I walked over there and wrote $50. So I got this Weber kettle for $50 on Friday before Thanksgiving. And on Saturday, I seasoned it with some burgers. And then on Sunday, I put a thermometer in it. And then on Monday, I was off work. It was the Monday before Thanksgiving. I was off work, and my wife went out Christmas shopping. And so I decided I'd cook a turkey on it. And I did it on Facebook Live. And Hannah, my daughter, was filming it or videoing it, whatever you call it, with the phone. And I was being silly and having fun. And all kinds of people started logging in. People I didn't even know on my Facebook were logging in. And I don't even know how that worked. But anyway, my sister-in-law kept saying, and she was telling people to watch and everything as I'd go out and check the turkey every few minutes. It took about, 5 or 6, it takes about 4 hours to cook the turkey on the thing. And, so I probably did 7 or 8 updates on how the turkey was doing. And my sister-in-law thought it was wonderful and said I needed to start a YouTube channel. And then everybody on Facebook said, yeah, you need a YouTube channel. You need a YouTube channel. I didn't even know what a YouTube channel, I watched guys on YouTube, but I didn't know if you had to pay to get a YouTube channel. I didn't know if they were free. I didn't know anything about it. And so we went, that following Wednesday, we went out of town to visit my family and my wife's family and all. We were at my wife's family's house and my sister-in-law's house. And her and her husband were talking to me about starting a YouTube channel. And I was saying, well, why don't you start one? Because my sister-in-law cooks really well too. And she says, oh no, I couldn't talk on camera. You need to do it. And then my brother-in-law stuck an iPad in my face with some guy shoving a pin up a pineapple, dancing around in a robe, and said, this guy's making money on YouTube. You can too. I said, I'm not dancing in a robe, dude. And anyway, so the next morning was Thanksgiving Day, and I found out how to start a YouTube channel. And since then, I've been having a lot of fun. So that's how that works. I got talked into it by my sister-in-law because I did a Facebook Live video. Awesome. Long story for a short point.
Hey, I'm good with, the more you talk, the better off the ratings will be.
Doubt it.
All right. I'm changing things up on you because you know my format.
Okay.
Christy's cooking channel, now that she's figured out how to make it work, and I can't give her too hard a time because I'm running this thing and didn't do a great job at making my side work, wants to know what your friends and family think of your channel.
Well, my friends and family think of my channel. Well, my wife, she tells people she doesn't watch the videos because she watches me make them, because she's around when I'm cooking them. My daughter likes the channel. She likes to sneak a cameo on camera every now and then. She does a lot of the video work for me. My mom likes it, I think. She watches some of them every now and then. If I tell her that there's something she would like to watch, she watches it. I don't think my dad and my stepmother care one bit about it. In fact, I tried to get my stepmother to watch one time, and she said, you talk too much. And she watched about 3 minutes of the intro and said, you're not cooking anything, you're just talking. So she turned it off. I don't think my dad's ever seen one. So sometimes I have a lot of friends that they'll look at me and they'll say, you have a YouTube channel? Because I'm kind of not really into a whole lot of tech stuff, and don't have to have the latest and greatest computers, and I don't have to have a whole lot of stuff, and they know kind of how tech-tarded I am, and they can't believe I have a YouTube channel. So
there's that term.
Some people like it. Yeah. They're like, you have a social media account, because I don't do a whole lot. I'm not into a lot of it. I'm kind of just, I'd be content living in the 1930s with a telephone and a refrigerator, I'm good with that. So, and a radio.
All right. What equipment do you use to record your videos?
iPhone SE. It's like a 6, but it's like the size of a 5. Because when I had to get a new phone last year, they said we got the 6, and they were like this big, and I'm like, I don't want one that big, and I want one like the smaller. And they said, well, we got this SE, but it's real small. And why you want one that's so small? I'm like, because I'm a dude. I don't carry a purse. And I want one that fits in my pocket, And so it's an iPhone SE. Maybe one day if this thing takes off, I can get some equipment like a digital camera and computers to edit stuff on, but I do everything with the Splice app on the iPhone and the iPhone SE.
Gotcha. Blind Grillin wants to know, besides the tail, what's your favorite meat on an alligator?
The only meat I've ever eaten on alligator is the tail meat. I did see back during the summer when I was interested in doing the gator meat videos. And by the way, I may do one next week. LSU plays Florida, so I may do a like an alligator sauce piquant or something video next week. I'm not promising, but it might happen. All right, back on topic. I've only ever eaten a tail meat, but I'd seen a video, not a video, what do you call it? A recipe on the Kingsford website for alligator ribs. And I went to the meat market to try to find alligator ribs, and they said they can only get them really in September and October, but I haven't been back to see if they have any. The only meat I've ever eaten is the tail meat from a gator.
Gotcha. I can actually get alligator or crocodile. I can't remember which one it is up here in Ohio.
That's what they told me at the meat market. They said, you used to be able to get it a lot. And they said that since the swamp people came out and shows like that, Duck Dynasty and stuff like that, they said they're shipping all the alligator meat up north. So it's not as inexpensive as it used to be. Let's just say that.
Right. All right. I saw, where'd he go? Jason Stone Mountain Barbecue just hopped on. I'm gonna try to keep
Hey, that's my buddy Hagar.
Yes, sir. I think he's been out trying to find that Hawaiian barbecue sauce. King's Hawaiian smoked bacon sauce that I came across the other day.
Somebody I saw on YouTube had some of that, but I thought I'd seen you do a review on it a while back, and then I saw somebody else. Maybe it was you. I don't know. I don't remember now.
They came out with 4 sauces, but my grocery store only carried, I can't remember what the original one was called. And then I went to a different grocery store last weekend just for funsies, as it was in the middle of my cook of the rib tips and the pulled pork. And I'm walking through the aisle and I said, hey, this is different and this will work on these rib tips. Let's run this. Because Jason from Stone Mountain and once I posted that video, he sent me a message and said, dude, I was literally just about to do this.
Well, that's right. What you said. Don't watch other people's videos. Just do what you want to do, and then you can't be accused of copying somebody, I guess, Right. Actually, I learn a lot from watching other people's videos, and I enjoy it. It's entertainment for me, so I watch a lot of people's videos. So
I agree with you. All right, let's talk about cookers. I'm going to take a nap over here whilst you tell the entire list of cookers that you have.
I don't have that many. I got a comment the other day about how they like the fact that I don't cook on a lot of fancy equipment, and that's kind of my stick, I guess, because I don't have a lot of fancy money. So I cook on an old smoky grill. I have 2 of them. I got the 18-inch and the 22-inch. Old Smokies are made in Houston, Texas, and they've been made since 1953, and they're basically, they used to be a bucket factory, and somebody decided to turn 2 buckets upside down and make a grill out of it. And then they've been selling grills all across the Gulf South since 1953. And I live about 2 hours from Houston, and so those grills are rather popular around here. They're not heirloom quality grills. They're not going to last you, and you're not going to hand them down to generations. They'll last 4 or 5 years, maybe 10 if you take care of them. But I like to cook them. I like the way they cook. And so I have 2 Old Smoky grills. I've got a Weber kettle. I've got a Lodge Sportsman's grill that I use a lot for steaks and pork chops and just, whatever I need to grill. Don't need a top on it. And especially if it's just something for the wife and I and the family, it's not going to do a whole lot for a party. It's just a little hibachi grill, but it does a great job with thinner steaks and pork chops and stuff. And I had a gas grill. I had a Charbroil Professional Series for several years, but I'd rarely used a gas grill. I wound up giving it to my brother late last June because he was going to have a grill out for 4th of July or something and wanted to know if he could borrow it. And I'm like, well, you can have it, man. Just come get it. He never came and got it, so I put it in my truck and I took it down to him. So I brought it to my brother. So I got rid of my gas grill, and I've got a ugly drum smoker that I built a few months back. Been meaning to build one for a few years. I had a smoker I built out of cinder blocks at my old house. But if you build a smoker out of cinder blocks and you mortar them together and you move, you can't take it with you. So when we moved here about 3 years ago, I didn't really have a good smoker, and I've been planning to build a ugly drum smoker, and I finally got it done this past summer. So been loving that thing. Is that it? Oh, we got a propane tabletop grill. That's about it, I guess, as far as outdoor cookers.
Right. All right. Big W.
Oh, I got a George Foreman grill. How can you not have a George Foreman grill sitting in your cabinet? I never use it, but it sits in my cabinet. I mean, who doesn't have a George Foreman grill, you know, in case zombies attack or something, you know, so.
All right, Nate from Big W BBQ wants to know, what is the one thing you've learned or experienced since starting your YouTube journey that has surprised you or you didn't think of before making videos? I have really bad penmanship, so sorry.
Oh, I'm dysgraphic too. That's all right. That people actually watch my channel and tolerate it and actually enjoy it. And I get comments that people enjoy it. And because when I got talked into doing it, I didn't think anybody would really want to watch me cook. I'm not a trained professional chef. I'm not a barbecue competition guy. I got a friend of mine, my daughter's good friend. She's got her dad does competitions. I've asked him for a little bit of advice before, and we've talked a lot of barbecue for several years, but I've never been in a competition. I didn't think anybody would want to watch me cook, but I've cooked since I was a teenager, and I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy having fun when I do it, and people want to watch me have fun while I do it, you know? I don't want to make it look like work. If cooking's work, you need to let somebody else do it. Go to a restaurant and pay somebody else to cook for you, you know? But if you like cooking, you're having fun, you know?
So I'll say this. Your channel is probably the best channel for me to taking the cooking part out of it completely. Your stories when you're doing a video are amazing.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
Bomb grilling's camera work, crazy flipping stuff, editing.
Oh, he's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun. But I'm not that technical, so my stuff's not going to be that polished.
Right, but I mean, if you were so I'm probably the oddball out of the YouTube groups cook that I follow about, I don't know, close to 300 channels. A lot of them are dead old channels. I just want to be able to go back through their library. But
yeah,
if I see a Big Lew video pop up, so what I'll do is I'll go back to last night when I get home from work, and I'll start from what happened at, call it midnight, all the way back up to 6 p.m. And I'll scroll through and see, okay, this is what is on the docket for tonight, what my options are. If I see a Big Lew, a Bomb Grilling, and a couple other people, that's where it kind of falls into. And yours is strictly, I'm assuming there's going to be a great story.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Chris. I want to be entertained. I'm not trying to knock anybody's channel, but I've watched cooking videos on YouTube a long time before I started, and some of them make it look too technical or almost like work. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Have fun, you know? Make it fun.
All right. What's your real job?
I am a high school teacher. I teach high school Spanish. I know I look like a little short Latino woman, don't I? I started out as a social studies teacher, and that doesn't surprise anybody. But I had a minor in Spanish, and I kept getting asked to teach Spanish. And when I first started teaching, they said, if you're going to teach social studies, you either need to coach or teach something nobody else can teach. And I said, I'll teach Spanish, and got my Spanish certification. Been teaching Spanish since 1998. That was sort of off and on for about 3 or 4 years between 98 and 2005. And then since 2005, I've taught Spanish, and nothing but Spanish since about 2010. No more social studies since about 2010 or 2011. But I used to teach history and geography and all that stuff too. So I teach high school Spanish.
Awesome.
And get to call the football games on Friday nights and Thursday nights. That's where I was last Thursday night. We had a football game on Thursday night. I get to announce for our high school at the football games, and that's a lot of fun. So
you a more famous announcer or YouTuber?
I don't know. Sometimes I get criticized for calling kids' number wrong, but generally people like the way I do my stadium announcing. So I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
New question off of last week's options. Ever had anybody notice you that you don't know that's watched your channels? Like, hey, that's that guy.
No, that hasn't happened yet. That hadn't happened yet. I don't know when that'll happen, but I guess when that happens, then I've reached celebrity status or something. I don't know. That hasn't happened. I've been teaching so long, and I've been teaching so long in the same community. I get a lot of people that come up to me, and my last name is Lewis. That's how I got the name. People call me Big Lewis. Lewis, short for my last name, Lewis. And people come up to me and they'll say, Mr. Lewis. And I'm sitting there talking to them, and they're like, well, you don't remember me, do you? Well, kids change a lot between ages 15 and 25. The human body changes a lot between 15 and 25. And so, well, you taught me 10 years ago. Okay. Remember, you were the short, skinny kid, and now you're tall and 400 pounds. I don't know if it's that big a deal. But a lot of people meet me in the store and stuff that I don't recognize right away because I've taught them umpteen years ago. But I haven't had anybody recognize me from YouTube yet. So
Phil and
Florence, it'd be cool if that ever happens, though. Go ahead.
Phil and Florence says that'll come at 50,000 subs. I'm assuming
50,000 subs. Well, Phil ought to know, man. His subs are climbing. He's doing great. Hi, Phil.
All right. Who taught you how to cook?
Well, my grandfather used to cook, and he cooked really well. And I used to sit out when I was a kid and watch him on a smoker and his gas grills, but he never really taught me how to cook. I just would watch him. When I was in 7th grade, the scheduling changed or something after the first 9 weeks, and I had to wind up taking a home ec class. I didn't want to take the home ec class because I thought it was for girls. Nowadays they call it family and consumer science, so boys can take it. But back then they called it home ec. I didn't want to take it, but I had to take it, and the first 9 weeks that I took it, the first quarter that I took it, it was actually the second quarter of the school year, they were doing sewing, and I absolutely hated it. But I did learn how to sew a button on the breeches or something. If I lose a button on my pants, I can do that now. So it was a good class to take. But in the spring, they started cooking. And I was like, oh, Lord, the cooking. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And about 2 years later, my parents got divorced. I had 2 younger brothers, and when they got divorced, we were living with my dad. The only thing he knew how to do was make a grilled cheese sandwich, heat up a can of Campbell's soup, and order Domino's. And so if we didn't want pizza or grilled cheese sandwiches and soup, I said, well, I've had that home ec class. I'll start cooking. And I started learning to cook, and cooking for my brothers and cooking for my dad as a teenager, and just loved it. Absolutely. I enjoy cooking. It's a fun hobby, and it's a good hobby. So I just kind of teach myself. I don't know if it's an impressive collection, but I've got a collection of cookbooks. Back in the days before we had the internet, if you wanted to learn how to cook something, you read a book, instead of watching a video. So been doing it since the Reagan administration, just enjoying cooking. But I kind of did it because I had to take a class, and then needed to do it when my parents split. So
gotcha. Meathead just chimed in here. wants to know if you've seen an uptick in your statistics after T-Roy shouted you out, or should I say answered your question / shouted you out this morning.
Picked up 9 or 10 subscribers. 9 or 10 subscribers. I hadn't looked at the, had a real busy day, and I hadn't looked at any other analytics on watch time or anything like that. But I think I was at 622, 623, and now I'm around 632, 633, somewhere in that range. So
you're at 637, 2 minutes before we went live.
I picked up 15 subscribers. All right, there we go. So
T-Roy, call me out every day.
I posted that question on T-Roy's channel back in. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I feel like we're at what they call an Illinois impasse, where both sides are going, no, you go first. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to say I posted that question on T-Roy's channel way back in June. I think he was doing a series of cooks on Weber Smoky Mountains with sand and water with James from Amon Claimham Smokers. And I don't even think I posted that on one of his Thursday chats. I think I posted that question on the review of the sand versus water debate, one of those things. And I'd forgotten I had even done it. And this morning, T-Roy Cooks came on there. And one of the first things I do before I even watch his 30-minute long chats is I go through to see which channels he's mentioned, and noticed that mine was up there. And I was like, I don't remember even posting a question to him. So anyway, thank you, Troy. Appreciate it.
One of my newest subscribers, I don't know if he's on your channel or not, Mr. Mega Fred Zeppelin just jumped into the chat.
Fred Zeppelin. Hey, man. I love you. I love your channel name, Fred. I love your channel name. It's one of the coolest channel names on all of YouTube, dude. I'm just saying. It is.
All right. What's an regular weekday meal look like in the Big Lew house?
Monday nights is usually leftovers from Sunday or a weekend barbecue cook. And if we didn't have any leftovers from Saturday or Friday or Saturday's barbecue cook, like if it wasn't pulled pork or a brisket or something, it was like burgers or whatever we might have done. Usually on Sunday, we'll make a jambalaya or a gumbo or something like that and have leftovers on Monday. Red beans and rice are quite common on Mondays or Tuesdays. This Monday we actually did black-eyed peas and rice with sausage and some okra. I like okra. And let me see. This week on Wednesday night, we had Taco Tuesday on Wednesday, man. We broke all the rules. We had Taco Tuesday on Wednesday. A lot of times on Wednesday night, we'll have like breakfast for dinner or something, because eggs and bacon and grits are good any time of day. And tonight we were planning on concession stand food at my son's baseball game, but the baseball game got postponed till Monday. So I had leftover Taco Tuesdays, which was cooked on a Wednesday, and I had leftovers on a Thursday. So that's kind of typical. Just, family stuff. We'll do a meatloaf. We'll do hamburger steaks, quite common. My wife has been making this beef stroganoff stuff lately. She found a recipe on Pinterest a while back, and it's really good, and my son really likes it. So she's been cooking this beef stroganoff type stuff lately quite frequently, once or twice a month, and it's really good too. So maybe even 3 or 4 times a month.
And I got Christy dropping questions that I've already got wrote down. All right. Favorite video you've made thus far?
Touche onion, fall off the bone ribs. That was a lot of fun video to make. That was a real fun video to make. Johnny Onion Mannion and he was somehow he mentioned me, said I gave him grief about his ribs being overdone. My stepdad would have said fall off the bone ribs were overdone, And I don't remember giving him grief. I just remember anyway. He and I started a banter or something, and he did a video where he was going to cook ribs my way, and more like a competition. I guess it's more like competition. I've never done competition, but you can bite them, and they're tender enough you can bite, but the meat stays on the bone. Get a little bite mark out of it. And so then I decided I would do, say touche. All right, I'm gonna cook some fall off the bone ribs. So I did some for that just the bones just fell off. You could have put the whole slab on a piece of French bread, made a po' boy out of it. They were really good, and I had a lot of fun doing the video. So, and a lot of people have said a lot of good things about it. So it's not my most popular video on YouTube, but it's my favorite. So,
right.
And I got to talk about Johnny. Great guy, great channel. Check out Onion Smoke Shack. So it was a fun video.
All right. I'm going to give you the option to answer this question just because what we talked about off camera. Mr. Mega Fred Zeppelin wants to know, what's your NFL team of choice?
Man, I grew up 60 miles north of New Orleans. I love my Who Dat. All right, Who Dat. I love my Saints. Even though they started the year off with the 2-0, they beat the Panthers. You got to beat the district. Yeah, it's the Saints. And I got to tell you, Fred, when I was growing up, the Saints were in the same division with San Francisco back in the day. I didn't like San Francisco too much back in the 80s. I'm just saying. I like you, Fred, but I couldn't like the 49ers back in those days. But now that they're in different divisions, I don't care what happens with the 49ers. Root for your team, Fred. How's that for an answer?
All right. For some reason, the chat is all jacked up, so I'm going to quit trying to scroll through this. Funniest thing that's happened to you while recording a video that we've not seen because you edited it out?
Funniest thing that happened. It wasn't funny at the time, but it wasn't funny at the time, but I guess it's funny now. One of my chicken strip videos, I made a chicken strip video with some sauce and stuff like that, and I had the grill. I was cooking on the Lodge grill, and had the chicken strips all marinated up like I was supposed to, and I had them sitting out on a platter on the table. I turned my back for a minute, and I've got this black lab. He'll be a year old. He's probably about a year old now. We got him last Christmas. He was 3 months old when we got him, so he was probably 6 or 8 months old at the time I did this video. Maybe only 5 or 6. He put his paws up there, grabbed the chicken, and ran off with it. And I had to go inside and cut up more chicken breast. And I actually defrosted them in the microwave and dipped them in marinade. They were only in marinade for about 10 or 15 minutes. I went back out and finished the video, and you never saw that the dog had grabbed the first chicken, raw chicken. So.
All right, Charlie Smoking Barbecue just hopped in here.
Hi, Charlie.
I'm surprised, and this has to be because of you, because we've had at least 14 consistent viewers for this entire thing, and we're at the 38-minute mark-ish.
I run my mouth too much. Sorry.
Hey, I'm riding this horse to the end.
I'm having fun. Thank you very much, Chris. It's a great opportunity.
All right, Christy's Cooking Channel. Worst thing you've ever cooked or ate?
Worst thing I ever ate. I was in Mexico. I was about 21 years old, and I eat a lot of weird stuff. I'm the kind of guy that's willing to try anything. If I see some other man eat it and it doesn't kill him, I'm willing to try it. There's pretty much only 2 things I would not try first. There's some things I don't like, but that's because I've tried them. There's only 2 things I would not eat. But we were in Mexico at a market, and I was studying Spanish down there. I was about 21 years old, and they had a place they were selling iguana tamales. And a lot of the girls that were with us and the other guy, iguana tamales. I said, I got to try it. So I bought like half a dozen iguana tamales. Oh man, that was a terrible waste of pesos. One, they were bland. They were bland. I mean, just like nothing. And then it had like this boiled iguana meat in there, like stringy chicken or something with very little flavor. A little bit of chili powder or something in it, and maybe some cumin, but they weren't like really flavorful tamales. And it was hot. It was a summer, and I ate them. And only by the grace of God did I not have to eat them a second time. But it was nasty. Iguana tamales, worst thing I ever ate. Worst thing I ever cooked. It was my wife and I, before we had kids. We were camping on New Year's Eve of 2000 and New Year's Day of 2001. And it doesn't snow down here in Louisiana much. It only snows like every 7 years. And it was actually going to snow that New Year's Day. But I said, well, we're going to do cabbage. And I was going to do a New England boiled dinner in a Dutch oven while we're camping. And I just bought the Dutch oven. I think I'd cooked in it one time. I didn't have it seasoned really well. And it was so cold. And I had the fire roaring hot. And I had corned beef brisket in there, and I had cabbage in there, and I had potatoes in there. And I think you're supposed to have rutabagas in a in a New England boiled dinner, but I don't know what rutabagas are. So I had turnips in it. And rutabagas just don't make it down here, And cooked it on this fire. Fire was way too hot. Had the coals on top of it. Burned the bottom layer of it about an inch. Burned the top about an inch. I was able to scrape off the top. Try to eat what was in the middle. And my wife and I were like, we can't eat this. It tasted like it was burned potatoes and rust because the Dutch oven wasn't seasoned well. And I think it was the second meal I ever tried to cook in a Dutch oven. To this day, I think it still messes with my confidence in Dutch oven cooking, So anyway, I was just starting out with my Dutch oven hobby. And anyway, that was the worst thing ever. I swear it was black on top about this big, and it was black on bottom about that big, and just this layer of gelatinous junk in the middle. It was horrible. We wound up going, I think we left the campsite and went to McDonald's or something to get something to eat. So, and it was warm at McDonald's. So,
all right. It's been the third time I've asked this question. I think I've butchered it both times, both to Barlow and to you on take one. 3 channels you watch, 1 big, 1 small, and 1 you think should be much bigger than they currently are.
3 that I watch, 1 big, 1 small. All right, well, I mentioned the big one last time, but I'm not going to mention it now because you pointed out a live video that they had. And therefore, they lost brownie points. So I'm not going to mention the one that had the 28 minutes of live chickens on it. But if you know what, I watch that channel. So I'm going to go with Cowboy Kent Rollins. That's the big channel I watch. I like Cowboy Kent Rollins. He's funny. He's entertaining. He makes cooking look like fun. And he knows, he's very, very, very good. All right. 1 medium size. It's hard to pick just one because there's a lot of them I'd like to pick. But let's go with Texas Style Cuisine. Is he still watching? Texas Style Cuisine. I watch Johnny at Texas Style Cuisine. And if I had to mention another one, which I'm not supposed to do, if I had to mention another one, I'd say Mad Scientist Barbecue. And but Johnny at Texas Style Cuisine, I've learned so much from watching his channel, and he's really good. And he's a lot like Cowboy Kent Rollins, a lot of Dutch oven and barbecue. It's a good mix. And small ones, well,
Johnny's on still. He said, I'm not scrolling up, but like woo woo, me.
He's also an educator, so I like Johnny at Texas Style Cuisine. He's very, very good, very talented. Got a lot of fancy equipment, and very good. There's another Dutch oven guy too. I'm not mentioning him because of the question. I'm just saying that 1960 hiker dude. I think he's from New England, Boston area. He's got that kind of accent, but he's really good with Dutch oven stuff.
He's not posted a video in a long time. It's a couple months now.
Yeah, I hope he's still around, but maybe he's just busy.
Right.
I'm sorry, my daughter just walked into the room. I don't know what she's doing, but maybe my mic was cutting out or something. All right, and small. Well, Chris, I'm gonna have to mention two because one of them is about a guy that I first saw. I think he had like maybe 16 subs, and he was cooking hot dogs on what I thought at the time was a ammo can that he had turned into a grill, and I was like, "What is this?" It's in the little what do you call it, thumbnail, the little icon that pops up, and I watched him, and I thought, "This dude is cooking hot dogs on an ammo can, man." It was. And anyway, it turned out to be you, and I'm so glad I found your channel. And since then, your channel's grown a lot. But anyway, your channel is one, and another one that should be way bigger than it is Oriet Go Outside and Cook. I don't even think his channel's really small anymore, but he's growing. Oriet Go Outside and Cook. I could name a bunch of them. I'm gonna hurt people's feelings about not naming them, man. Big's Home Cooking, that's another good one. There's a lot of good ones. You only asked me for one, and I've run my mouth too much. So, your channel, Biggs, and Oriet Go Outside and Cook, all good channels. Oriet ought to be as big as Texas Style Cuisine. He does a lot of Dutch oven stuff too. He's really good.
All right, so Mr. Mega Fred Zeppelin wants to know some of your favorite bands.
Well, when I was young, I listened to Megadeth and Led Zeppelin when I was young, but I don't anymore. Not too much. I was a big Ozzy fan back in the day, and Iron Maiden and stuff like that. But nowadays, I listen to bluegrass, a lot of bluegrass gospel. That doesn't mean if I'm not scrolling the station and a Led Zeppelin song comes on, especially Immigrant Song. That's a great song, Fred Zeppelin. That's a great song. Immigrant songs, I'm going to turn the radio up on it. But I listen to a lot of bluegrass nowadays. I listen to bluegrass on a barbecue. I like bluegrass music a lot. And some blues and some old country. Modern country doesn't impress me much. I'm going to get a little political here. Most modern country seems to be a mediocre imitation of 1970s rock. Not even a good imitation of 1970s rock, just like a mediocre imitation of 1970s rock. So I listen to like country that's pre-early 90s, I like Alan Jackson, Dwight Yoakam, like those guys, Clint Black, all those guys from the late 80s. And I like, the guys from the late 70s like Waylon and Willie and Johnny Cash. I love Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash is one of my all-time favorites. So I listen to stuff like that. And a lot of bluegrass. I like bluegrass music nowadays.
All right, Barlow Barbecue has a question for you, but I'm gonna make him earn this question by asking you my question first.
Okay.
What do you think of all this hippie cooking they're doing on his channel with all this vegetarian stuff?
That was a good interview you had last week, man. I didn't realize that Barlow was the hippy dippy barbecue man. You remember George Carlin had the hippy dippy weatherman. That was a good interview with him and Martha. And anyway, they got, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with eating vegetables. I like vegetables. I just like them on the side of my meat dish. I don't know. My mom is Catholic, and she doesn't think I ought to eat vegetables on Fridays during Lent. So.
So I will say this. I watched his cheesesteak video half hour before we did this, and it looked great.
I hadn't seen his cheesesteak video. Last one I saw was last Saturday. Been real busy this week. I plan to catch up this weekend with some of them. But this hamburger video, that Alamo burger, oh, that wasn't a vegetarian meal at all. That was a good meal. Good job, Barlow.
All right, so Barlow, now that I gave him a hard time about this, wants to know what your guilty food pleasure is.
All of it. I'm on a seafood diet. If I see food, I eat it. My guilty food pleasure. Cracklins. Cracklins. Oh, my wife don't want me to eat cracklins, but if I'm out in the car and I'm passing a good crackling place, I'll stop and get a quarter pound of cracklins or so. Maybe even boudin to go with it. That's a great combo. Cracklins and well, boudin's not that bad for you. Cracklins. I like cracklins. That's my guilty food pleasure.
All right. Sorry, I'm on the back of the second page of questions from people. Meathead wants to know, how tall is Big Lew since he's being called Big Lew?
Well, I used to be 6'4", but last time I went to the doctor, he said I was about 6'3 3/4". So I shrunk. Maybe I'm getting older. 6'4" with boots on with the heel, you know. So we'll go with that. 6'3.5" to 6'4". So I thought it was 6'4". Doctor says I'm 6'3 1/4 now. So, you know, but I'm almost 50. Well, not almost 50. I'm 47. So close enough.
All right. Charlie Smoking Barbecue wants to know, I believe, what's your best cast iron dish?
My best cast iron dish, the one that I actually, you mean like a meal that I prepare in cast iron, or like actually a cast iron piece of equipment that I use?
What the hey? Let's run them both.
Man, I prepare a lot of stuff. I cook almost exclusively in cast iron. In fact, when we moved into this house, they said it had the inspector said I couldn't get the stove to come on. They said it was an induction stove. I said, yeah, you got to have ferrous metal like cast iron or something. I cook almost exclusively in cast iron. But I've got a lot of old cast iron. I've got one that I believe belonged to my great-great-grandmother. May have belonged to my great-great-aunt. It's got a gate mark on the bottom of it. And I don't know if you know much about cast iron, but from what I've read and learned, I'm not an expert, they quit putting gate marks on the bottom of cast iron around 1876, and around 1896, they didn't put any gate marks on the bottom. And this one has a gate mark on the bottom of it. So it has to be older than 1896, most likely, and probably dates to about the time of the Civil War. And I cook cornbread in that. I use that one a lot. And I cook, I like that. That's a favorite piece. It's got all kind of little pits and everything in it from what I understand from my research, from when they used to use kerosene stoves, and the kerosene had a high sulfur content in it. But I still use that. And I have a oval fish fryer pan that fits the Lodge cast iron grill from about 1954 that I like. I have an old wooden handled Griswold cast iron skillet that we use a lot. And I have just a modern Lodge 12-inch skillet. Then I plan to either cook this week or next week pork loin in it. And they're only about $23, and you can still get them. That one's not that old, but I like it. I use it a lot. So I've got old Wagner cast iron, old Volrath cast iron. I got a lot of stuff. I need more Dutch ovens. I need more cast iron Dutch ovens. But yeah, I went through a phase a while back of collecting a lot of cast iron. But the thing with collecting stuff, I've collected lanterns, I've collected chess sets, I've collected Bibles, I've collected lots of stuff. The problem with collecting is eventually the collection starts to collect you. So I quit kind of collecting cast iron. I figured I had enough stuff, you know. So
the Drunken One wants to know what are gate marks. I was going to ask a question because I don't know either, but since he's asking it, then I can look smart.
Okay. I'm no expert on cast iron, but when they have a mold for the cast iron, they pour the hot molten into the mold. And there has to be a little tunnel or a little ridge there where they can inject the cast iron into the mold. And then the cast iron, when they pull it out of the mold, it's going to have a little bit of a ridge there of where it had gone into the mold through the little ridge. And they used to do that through the bottom, and then they cut it off. And nowadays, it goes through the rim of the cast iron piece, and they cut it off and they sand it down. If you could wait just a minute, if you could fill in and talk, I'll go get that piece and show you what a gate mark looks like. Is that all right? Be right back.
All right, we'll hit some comments. Jason, Stone Mountain BBQ, Sweet Dream Sunshine. Christy from Christy's Cooking Channel. You need to be on this channel, or should I say in the hot seat. Anybody who's watching, whether it's live or in the future, I'm looking for more people. I got a big announcement
All right.
And here's Big Lou.
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
Oh, you're good.
Okay. My daughter said the audio was cutting out. I hope everybody can hear us all right. Okay.
You had like a little 30-second spot where it got all wonky, but I think the internet caught itself back up.
Okay. This is the piece I'm talking about. It's got some pits in there, even though it's well seasoned. I understand some of that's from kerosene stoves. All right. Can you see this mark right here on the bottom of this pan? What happened when they poured it into the mold, it would have had a small little ridge where the cast iron came through there, and then they would have cut this off, and then they grinded it down. And they no longer put the gate marks on the bottom like this. On modern pieces, they're somewhere around the ridge, and if you're trained, you can look at them, but it's been grinded down with probably an angle grinder nowadays or something, and then smoothed out. But nowadays, the cast iron enters the mold through the rim and not on the bottom. So if you find a piece when you're in a flea market or something and you see a cast iron and it's got a thing along here, it's not a weld or a repair. And for a long time, I thought it was a repair to this pan, but it's what they call a gate mark. So this piece probably dates to older than 1896.
That's awesome.
Also, Chris, I know I could talk about this all day long. I hope I'm not boring anybody. But it didn't matter a whole lot with the old wood stoves, because old wood stoves were just a hole, right? And it didn't matter a whole lot. But when they started going to more gas stoves, kerosene stoves, things with burners on them, it's the ones with the gate mark on the bottom, it doesn't sit as easy on a stove because it rocks a little bit, you know, but it works fine on a grill. Sometimes I got to kind of move it where it fits in between the grill or whatever, but I still use this pan, and it's way older than you and I put together. So,
right. Did you hit the recipe part?
About the my favorite meal?
No, in a cast iron.
I don't know. If it's a cast iron pot, I guess jambalaya. If it's a cast iron skillet, I'm probably going to tick a lot of people off, but I like it. Liver and onions. I like liver and onions. And liver and onions are best cooked in cast iron. So I'm a big cast iron fan. A lot of people are going to hate liver. Well, you know what? There's liver lovers and there's liver loathers. And if you're a liver loather, I can't help you. Nobody's in between, though. You either like liver or you hate it, you know. So, liver and onions.
All right, Christy's Cooking Channel wants to know if you're ever going to make another homemade pizza.
I'm thinking about trying it again. Pizza on barbecue is not a big deal around where I'm from, I guess, but it's becoming bigger. But I did a pulled pork pizza, and it came out looking more like a football or something. I had done some pizzas with a pre-made crust, and they came out real good. And wow. And they came out real good. All right. So I did some pizzas with a pre-made crust when I first got the kettle pizza attachment from my Weber, and they came out real good. And I did some Walmart take and bake pizzas that worked well in it. And then I tried to make some with pizza dough, and it came out as a disaster. I went ahead and uploaded the video anyway because it was fun. But tomorrow, Chris, I'm going to try something I've never done before. So it's not going to be an expert video. I have no expertise in what I'm doing. Tomorrow, I'm going to try to convert a gallon of milk into mozzarella cheese. And I've watched about 8 or 9 videos this week with people making homemade mozzarella cheese. So I think I can do it now. I was given a kit last week, a surprise gift from my mother, where it had a mozzarella cheese kit in it. So tomorrow I'm going to make homemade mozzarella cheese, And if the mozzarella cheese is any good, it's very likely that I'm going to grate some up and make a pizza on the grill either Sunday afternoon or maybe next weekend. But if I can make the homemade mozzarella cheese, I'm going to make a pizza with some of that cheese. So yes, I will make another one. Long story again.
All right, so this is a Hobo Nichol personal question. Went to the grocery store today and found pork loins on sale for $2 a pound, which is normally $4 a pound for me. They are 10 pounds each. They're about, I don't know, yay long and yay big around.
Right. They're delicious.
So for $20 for the pack, I feel stupid not to do it, and I got neighbors that'll more than happily eat it. Any tips?
Well, I plan soon to do a garlic studded pork loin where you cut holes in it with a knife and you put cloves of garlic all through it.
Right.
And I plan to do that soon, but I have a cane syrup pork loin recipe that's really, really good. It's one of the early videos that I did. I did it in one of my favorite cast iron pieces, that oblong thing, but you can do it in a regular 12-inch skillet. It'll just bend around a 12-inch skillet. I've cooked one like that in a 12-inch skillet before. You just can bend it around and almost fit all the way around it. Most pork loins will. And you cover it with Worcestershire sauce, and you trim the fat off of it, cover it with Worcestershire sauce and some little bit of mustard, I think I put on that. Maybe I don't put mustard on the cane syrup ones. I'll have to watch my video. And anyway, put some like Cajun Creole seasoning on it, put some cane syrup on it, and cook it. And then the cane syrup will start to kind of turn like a candy about 3 hours into the thing. It starts to get like a molasses. Put some water in there and mix it around and just keep pasting it. And it's absolutely delicious on a pork loin. I got a cane syrup pork loin video, one of the like third or fourth video I did. So anyway, it's good.
Awesome. All right. I don't see any more questions that I missed, so I'm going to end it with the question that I ended with you last time. I want to hear a Big Lew BBQ story, since you tell stories so great, that hasn't made any YouTube channel videos.
All right. Well, okay. Do you want to hear the one where my mother crushed my dreams when I was about 13 of becoming a professional chef? Or do you want to hear the one?
Hang on. If everybody wants to hear Lew tell a story about his mother crushing his dreams, press the number 5 on the chat right now. All right, Lew, what's the other option?
Or do you want to hear a story about how Fred Zeppelin will like this next story? How I landed my only cooking job at a world famous restaurant.
If you want to hear the
which one you want? And I was 18 when that happened.
You want to hear the second option, press 3. If you want to hear both stories, press 1.
Okay. So what we
there's
got?
about an 8-second delay, and we've got 555. Texas style cuisine, cuisine says cooking job.
Cooking job. No, I like Texas. All right. Okay.
So I'm going to say you're probably going to end up with both. So just run that.
All right. How I landed my only cooking job at a world famous restaurant. World famous. I was about, let's see, it was 1989. It was May of 1989. So I was 18 years old. I had this 1979 Buick LeSabre. And we lived about 60 miles north of New Orleans, and Aerosmith was coming to New Orleans, and they were going to be at the University of New Orleans down there. So I had tickets, and I got my friend Booger. Everybody in the South has a nickname, all right? That's the dude's nickname. Not the Booger 500 that has a YouTube channel, another kid named Booger, all right? And so Booger and I, we head down to New Orleans, and we get on what's called the Twin Span, which is I-10. Interstate 10, headed to New Orleans, over Lake Pontchartrain, and I have a flat tire in my 1979 Buick LeSabre with Megadeth and Anthrax stickers all over the back of it. You know, we're going to see Aerosmith. And so we get out, and Booger says, well, let's change the flat tire. And I'm saying, we can't do that. He says, why? I said, because I hadn't had a spare tire since Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras was in February. This was May. He says, you haven't had a spare tire? Because I was a typical teenager. Teenagers do stupid stuff like spend $400 on a sound system, but they don't have tires on their car. You know what I'm saying? So we started hitchhiking. And, you know, you got one bridge going one way, north, southbound to New Orleans, the other one coming back up. So we started hitchhiking on the bridge, and we got a ride with some dudes that dropped us off at the end of the bridge. And then we got another ride, some old like Hell's Angels looking dude with a beard down to here in a Caprice Classic, and he was drinking Coors. I had a 6-pack of Coors, and we got in the car with him. How stupid is that? Don't do that. All right. And then he dropped us off at the exit, and then we saw a friend of ours who had a pickup truck. His name was Crete. Everybody in the South has a nickname. His name was Crete. That's what we called him. All right. And I said, Crete. He said, and he's like, hey, Big Lew, booger guy, I'll come in. And so we jumped in the back of his truck and we rode to the arena. And we got there in time to see Joan Jett open up for Aerosmith. And then we rode 60 miles all the way back north of New Orleans with the in the back of his truck. And I got home and my dad was there because I was only 18, you know. And my dad says, where's your car, son? And I said, it's on the twin span. We got to go get it in the morning. He said, where you been? I said, at the Aerosmith concert in New Orleans. He said, your car's not on the twin span. I said, yeah, it is. I left it there. He said, the state police called me and said that I had an abandoned car because I was only 18. It was registered in my dad's name, you know. And I said, well, what'd they say? They said, well, I had 30 minutes to move it or they were going to impound it. So I told them to go ahead and impound it. And I said, well, how much is it to get it out of the impound? He said, $750 plus something over a day because it was stuck on the interstate, you know, and on the bridge over Lake Pontchartrain. And I'm like, Dad, I don't have $750. That was a mountain of money to me. He says, well, I guess you got to get a job. So the next day I went to this world famous restaurant and they said, we'll hire you, but we've got standards. You're going to have to cut your hair. So I walked across the street. I had to walk now. I walked across the street to a place called Fantastic Sam's and got my mullet cut off. Hadn't had a mullet since then, you know. But we all had mullets in 1989, you know. And went back over there and I got a job flipping burgers at McDonald's. Told you it's a world famous restaurant, man. And I worked there. I walked there. It's about 1.5 miles from my dad's house. And I walked there, probably 3 months or so, or got rides with people, whatever, till I could afford to get my car out of the impound yard. So that's one story. Hope that was good enough.
You got plenty of commentary saying this is a great story.
You know what, Chris? I'm not what I ought to be, but thank God I'm not what I used to be. Let me just say that. You understand what I'm saying?
I don't know that this is so private to say, but Christy's cooking channel says in the YouTube cooks group, we need to see pictures of this mullet.
No, you don't. They've all been destroyed. They've all been destroyed. All right. I'm surprised you. That wasn't the same story from last week, man. All right. Is it all right? Well, what else did I say earlier? I forget now. I don't know.
You had 2 stories, damn it. One was world's famous restaurant.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. When I was about 13, like I said, I was getting interested in cooking, right? I told you that at the beginning of the show. I was getting interested in cooking. I told my mom I was going to be a chef. And she was like, you know, and now that I've had teenagers and I've dealt with teenagers, I know how teenagers can say things and why my mama would dismiss something like this, you know. And I said, I wanted to be a chef. And she said, well, where do you want to work? I said, I want to work at a big time restaurant like Western Sizzling, because I thought that was a famous restaurant when I was 13 years old. I thought that was fancy, Western Sizzling. It's kind of like a Bonanza or something, you know. And she just laughed and laughed and laughed. And I can understand why. But at the time, I was like, oh, so I didn't become a chef. So that's all there is to that one. So anyway, that's about all there is to that one. The McDonald's story is better. Embarrassing, but better.
Right. So I think we're about ready to wrap this up. Before we go, I want to kind of
thank everybody for watching. Thank y'all
Yes,
for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Chris, thank you for this channel. Thank you for doing the interview, man. I really, really appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun. And this is a great thing, hot seat.
All
Who
right.
you going to have
So
in hot seat next week?
well, we got one last question, but I wanted to get this goodbyes thing that you did out of the way, and I want to make one announcement. I got 2 people I'm working on. I've got soft confirmations. One is Rich's River Smokers, West Virginia.
Hey, Rich.
And I think he is talking about actually coming to Canton, Ohio and doing this, both of us in the same room.
Oh, wow.
We're working on dates. This is all pretty new as of last night. The other option, the other person that I'm working with is semi-famous guy. He's got a small channel called GQ BBQ.
Wow.
Obviously, this is going to be like me and Lew and Barlow did last weekend. So we're kind of working on things. I reached out to him last night also and asked him if he'd be interested, and I went to bed about midnight, but about 12:15 he said, heck yeah. So I haven't gotten back to him yet because I was trying to prep for this and had a busy day at work. So not sure what we're doing next week. I'm sure I will twist somebody's arm and convince them that this is a good idea for them, and they'll be wrong, but they'll do it.
I think you've got a good thing here with this interview. I'm glad you're doing it. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to do it. I'm very honored, Chris. And you got a great channel. And you need to cook on that C4 grill some more. That thing is cool, man. Looks like an ammo can, y'all. It's really cool.
I'll get that going. But before we go, 2 things. One, my whole intent on doing this channel or doing this thing here is more of, I found a connection with certain people and I'm curious. Anybody can cook a pork butt, whatever. That's my wheelhouse. I know our cooking thing is a little bit bigger than that, but my thing is trying to get a connection with people. And what I think helps everybody at the long run is somebody watches Big Lew and he's like, yeah, he lives in Louisiana. He knows this. You're like, man, I know this guy. And it helps your viewers connect with you.
I think the personal interest is a good idea. And if you've got a YouTube channel and you cook, Chris has started YouTube Cooks on Facebook. If you're not familiar with that, just Google YouTube Cooks, and it's a bunch of people who like to cook, and we got our real names mostly on Facebook and find out what our real names are. And it's a great thing. He started a few months back, and how many members are in that now, Chris?
It's right at 200. It's a little bit short of that. I don't know what. So Christy's cooking channel, aka Christy, she does most of the approval and leaves basically she'll go through and say, yep. And if there's somebody that's in question, meaning that they haven't filled out what their YouTube channel is or it looks suspicious. She's not told me this, but I think she leaves that for me to do the hard work. She just goes, oh, I've heard of Big Lew BBQ. Approved.
Well, yeah, both of y'all have done a lot of good work with that Facebook group. It's really good, and I've found out about a lot more channels that I wouldn't have known about maybe through that group, and you get to know people there, and that's a good idea. It really is. Right. I can't thank you enough for this interview, Chris. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry it was so late at night, but my Thursday nights are busy this fall. In the spring, I'll probably be free every time. Me too.
All right. Before you go, you know what I'm going to do. I did it to Barlow. I'm doing it to you. 3 people that need to be on the hot seat.
Well, I can't. You got Rich lined up, so I can't name him. So, let's go with get Ori at Go Outside and Cook. Ori at Go Outside and Cook needs to be on the hot seat. Who else needs to be on the hot seat is Johnny Onion Manion, need him. That's two California guys right there, though. Heck, let's make it a California suite. Get Mega Fred Zeppelin on here too. So I don't know if I can take that. I don't know if I can take that many 49er fans in 3 weeks. But anyway, we'll just do California suite right there. Get those
you guys have been called out. The expectations are contact me and let me know, or else I have to do like I did to Christy from Christy's cooking channel and give you a hard time until you finally say, okay, I'll do it. All right, Lew, I want to thank you for coming on. You got any last words?
I want to thank you very much, Chris. I've really enjoyed doing this. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad it worked. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching. We didn't cook anything. We just sat here and chatted. And there's so many things you could have watched other than us. And we really appreciate you watching. So thank you very much.
I agree. We're signing out. We don't have a Barlow Tibetan singing bowl thing, which...
No, I don't have that. I don't have any musical talent, but that was cool. Whatever.
I wonder if I can talk him into showing up. Like, I can add a third person towards the end. That would be the greatest ending of this.
I don't know. I saw on the YouTube Cooks thing, he says he now has a personalized theme song, and I was thinking, does it involve Tibetan singing bowls? You know, does this? So I can't wait to see one of his new videos with the now new theme song. I'm wondering if it has singing bowl music in it or something. All right, Chris. We might end this. So thank y'all for watching, guys.
Lew, don't jump off yet. I'm going to end this here, and me and you talk off camera. All right, later, y'all.